TCI is brought to you by TaylorMade Stallion Unbridled Song, producing top songs year after year, including 13 Grade 1 winners. Visit unbridledsong.com.
Welcome back to TCI, your inside track to the Breeders' Cup. I'm John Siegel alongside Joel Cunningham. You know, Joel, Triple Crown season now behind us. We turn our focus to this year's Breeders' Cup at Santa Anita, and it looks like it's going to be a great race.
You know, it always is, John. I mean, we've got 14 Breeders' Cup races. You're talking about the Breeders' Cup Classic,
right,
which really gets started this week. You know, the Belmont Stakes is in the book, so you move the Triple Crown aside. It's the second half of the year now. It's never too early to look at the Breeders' Cup, and the Stephen Foster's your first win-in-your-in race this Saturday at Churchill Downs. And I tell you what, there's 8 horses in it. There's 9, but it's going to scratch down to 8. I think it's a wide open race, and it's the best group of older horses we've seen assembled so far this year. So be a very interesting race Saturday.
Well, we're out here at TaylorMade Stallions. They were nice enough to give us a tour of their facilities. And while we were here, we ran into Randy Gillette of Twin Creeks Racing. Yeah. Of course, they own Mission Impassable, a horse who ran a close second in last year's Stephen Foster. This is what he had to say about Mission Impassable's run in last year's Stephen Foster and most recently this year's Pimlico Special.
Twin Creeks is mainly made up of Steve Davison and myself. We got into this in 1992, really trying to get a broodmare band built up so we could get back into the racing. And we're Louisiana boys that have been doing the Kentucky thing for quite some time now. So I think we're proving that we're Kentucky players, and hopefully we can show everyone we're Grade 1 winners too here very shortly. You know, the Pimlico Special we thought was a perfect setup for really the race we're wanting, which is the Stephen Foster. And we felt like he mixed up really well. We didn't get the trip we really wanted. He was a little unfortunate on the first turn and got wide most of the way and maybe made a little bit of premature move. But, you know, these are top-level horses. You can't make a mistake. And I think it sets us up very well for the Stephen Foster. The quality in this race has a ton of speed. Wise Dan obviously seems to be maybe the top of the leaderboard right now. Maybe we keep him in focus here. But Nate's MINESHAFT obviously showed us a ton of talent in the New Orleans Handicap. This could be a big battle up front. So obviously a rider's going to have to make a decision during a race. You could never predict how it's going to turn out. But I think it's setting up for a closure in this race. And I think Mission Impossible has shown that he can come from off the pace or go to the front. So hopefully we have options, and hopefully Javier makes the right call. The good news is we have a horse that we can do really what we want to do. And he let us get him to the races as a 2-year-old at Keeneland and win, and then continue top-level performances as a 3-year-old and as an older horse. I mean, that's something we dream of. You know, in a market today that so much focus is on longevity and soundness, I mean, this horse he's checked all these boxes, and being able to race him another year, we went to Todd and said, look, what do you think of running him again? He said, I'm 1,000% behind it. This horse has done everything we've asked. I mean, I do think he's probably better as a 5-year-old. He was pretty good as a 4-year-old, but, you know, the cool thing is he's sound. And I think almost all horses, when they get to that 5-year-old, if they're able to be sound and race at this level, you know, they're better. And not every horse can be sound and be as good as they were as a 4-year-old. And yes, I mean, I think this horse is as good as we could ask for. At this level, you just have to get lucky, and things have to go your way to win one of these things.
You know, Joel, you heard right there, Randy Gillette said he thinks Mission Impassable is the best he's ever been here as a 5-year-old. Super close in last year, Stephen Foster. Does he have a chance this year?
You know, I think he does, John. It'd be so great to see this horse reward his connections with a Grade 1 win, bringing him back at 5. I do believe he's at the top of his game. I mean, nearly winning the Don Handicap, John. I really thought he's up against a bias in the New Orleans Handicap, where he wore those UK silks. So we know who the UK fans are going to be back in this Saturday, and that's Mission Impassable. I think he has a good shot. I think he'll be right off the pace, probably following, you know, your favorite in there, Wise Dan, trying to jump on him and really try to measure him. I think that's the trip he'll get.
Well, you mentioned Wise Dan as the likely favorite. Is that because he set a track record last time out at Keeneland? And if so, aren't you worried about a bounce?
You know, you always worry about a bounce. They've given him plenty of time since that race, John. So you would think that, you know, he's recovered and reportedly working well. And I'll tell you what, that that race at Keeneland, that was as good of a poly-track race you'll ever see. 117 Buyer, just ran away from his competition, but now coming back at Churchill, he did win the Clark last year. He likes that track. He likes the dirt and the distance. So he's your definite favorite here. The question with him is, how will he handle the other pace pressure? There's a lot of speed drawn inside. Fort Larned's in great form, ran well over the track last time, has speed. Your rail horse, Nate's Mineshaft, they're going to go the lead with him from the rail. So I think it's going to carve out a pretty good pace in here. If he gets too close to that, it could burn him up late.
Well, a horse you got to mention is Alternation. You know, the question was, could he take his race from Oaklawn to Pimlico? He proved he could do that in the Pimlico Special. Now he has to take it to Churchill. You think he could win?
We're talking about all these great horses, John. Interesting note, Alternation undefeated this year. Certainly one of the top handicap horses with that Oaklawn handicap win, that Pimlico Special win. I think he's 4 for 4, but he's not a Grade 1 winner. NEHRO's not a Grade 1 winner, neither is Mission Impossible. So you have a lot of really talented horses trying to notch that Grade 1 win. I see Alternation is getting more of a stock mid-pack type trip in here. I don't think he'll show as much speed as he has in maybe his 2 prior races because there is more pace in this race. But Alternation's a horse in here that doesn't know how to lose right now, John, so it just makes that stretch run a lot more interesting. Personally, I'm going to go against him in this race, but he's a big player.
Well, I want to hear, who is your pick? Who do you think will punch the very first ticket into this year's Breeders' Cup Classic?
You know, this is a great race, John. Never too early to talk about the Breeders' Cup, especially the Classic. The Foster is a very good race, and quite honestly, I think it's the best older race we've seen so far this year. The Pimlico Special was good. You lose him booking here, but you pick up your big cap winner, Ron the Greek coming from off the pace, coming in fresh. I like an off the pace horse, but it's not Ron the Greek. I like NEHRO, John. I loved his Derby last year. I thought he ran spectacular over the track, and he's a horse that just runs himself into shape. I thought he ran well in the Pimlico Special. I think he can take another forward step. If he gets a good enough pace, I think NEHRO can get the job done.
Well, he's going to have to also break the streak of seconds that Zayed has had, and he's been a horse known for running second.
Yeah, John, I just want to say this race is wide open. I mean, Rogue Romance, is going to be probably your, longest shot on the board in here. He was a horse that always had a ton of promise. I think that, potentially he's doing great right now. He has a big shot, too, from a stalking type trip. So a very deep group in here, and I think this race is definitely going to point out who your front runner is in that handicap division.
All right, thank you, Joel, and thank you guys for watching. Make sure you come back next week. We're going to recap the Stephen Foster.